everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of poem number 4, A Thing of Beauty by John Keats. The first part of the poem was about the line by line explanation of the poem, and here in this session we'll learn about the various figures of speech employed by the poet, and similarly there will be an analytical discussion on some of the important questions, some of the important exam specific questions that demand critical thinking and deep insight. So let's get started. And before we start discussing the various figures of speech, we should remember the beautiful and important message that has been conveyed by the poet through this poem. The poet says that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. And further, in other words, the poet wants to convey that all beautiful things are source of constant joy and eternal pleasure to us, and they are just like blessings to us on the surface of earth by God, and they leave indelible impression and they leave indelible image in our minds and hearts. And that is the reason that every beautiful thing, each beautiful thing, every beautiful aspect is worth treasuring. So now here, before we have discussion on each particular type of figure of speech, let's look at the complete poem. And while just going through the poem, do observe the highlighted part. Some of the expressions have been highlighted, and this indicates that in each highlighted part there is use of one or other type of figure of speech. So, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. And we are just, while having a quick reading of the poem, I want you all to think about some of the common figures of speech that are generally used in your syllabus, in the poems of your syllabus. They include metaphors, simile, alliteration, assonance, imagery, symbols, transferred epithets. Okay, so just think about which type of figure of speech might have been used here. Then, therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall. From our dark spirit such, the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils with the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season. The mid-forest brake, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of Junes we have imagined for the mighty dead. All lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink, pouring on to us from the heavens bring. Yes, now here, metaphor. First of all, let's see that how the figure of a speech metaphor has been used here. We are very much familiar with which kind of figure of a speech metaphor is. It is when a word or a phrase is just used to apply to an object or an action that doesn't have the same literal meaning. For example, here, bower, quiet. The literal meaning of bower, quiet is a place, a shady place, or a garden but instead of that the poet uses bower quiet. So bower quiet refers to a quiet shady part in the garden. Similarly, sweet dreams refers to happy dreams. Wreathing a flowery band refers to an effort in which we try to connect to nature. Pall refers to a kind of covering or a kind of a sheet like a shroud. Endless fountain of immortal drink refers to things of beauty that last forever. So these are all the various usages of metaphor in the poem. Now let's move on. Alliteration. It's a very common alliteration. In alliteration, there is repetition of consonant sound. So just look at that repetition here. Noble natures, cooling covert, band to bind, noble natures, no consonant sound has been repeated. Similarly, cooling covert and band to bind. Imagery. So what kind of figure of speech is imagery? Whenever the poet tries to give a visual description through words and phrases, and just by reading those words and phrases, the readers can almost visualize the scene. So, flowery bands, shady boon, clear rills, daffodils in green world, grandeur of tunes, cooling covert. We have seen that in cooling covert there is one another figure of speech, alliteration. But as far as this context is considered, presenting a visual description, then here it is the use of imagery. Then endless fountain of immortal drink. Symbol. Symbol, if a word or expression is used to refer to somebody, something else, that is symbol or symbolism. Simple sheep, here there is only one single use of a symbol, simple sheep. It refers to mankind, as according to Bible, Christ is considered the shepherd who leads human souls out of the darkness of the world of sins and temptation to the brighter world, brighter and positive life. Now, another important figure of speech that has been employed is transferred epithet. Again and again, you should just have practice of what kind of figure of speech is transferred epithet. Epithet means adjective, but transferred epithet, almost you can say transferred when the meaning of adjective is transferred from one noun to another noun. Adjective generally describe a noun. So here we see gloomy days. So the very next noun used by the used just beside the adjective gloomy is days. But gloomy is not the actual description of days only. It is describing gloomy days of human beings. The main noun is here human beings. So in this way, the meaning of the adjective has been transferred. Gloomy days, similarly unhealthy and overdarkened ways. Now, oxymoron. Oxymoron, of course, it is a figure of speech, but not very commonly used, but very important. Oxymoron, whenever there is use of oxymoron, you may see that the expression in which oxymoron is used, there you may see almost that the terms that have been used in the expression, they are contradictory to each other. As we can see, mighty dead, in the expression mighty dead, oxymoron has been used. So mighty and dead, these two words are totally contradictory to each other in terms of their meaning. Mighty, how mighty can be dead? Then dead, how dead can be mighty? So contradictory, mighty, dead. So this is the usage of figures of speech. Now let's move on to some of the important questions analysis. The very first question is, how is a thing of beauty a joy forever? Now, this question is almost related to the important theme of the poem, and the theme of the poem is a thing of beauty is a joy forever. And now we need to discuss through our answer that how does the poet tell us how they become a joy forever, how things of beauty become a joy forever for us. So now you can see some of the points have been provided, and these are actually the main value points for writing, attempting this answer. And whenever you just attempt an answer in your own creative and impressive manner, just try to include all the important value points. And you can be able to do this only when you have complete and proper understanding of the text or the poem or whatever lesson or chapter you have read. Now, how is the thing of beauty a joy forever? So these can be the important value points, that the loveliness of things of beauty always increases with the passage of time. They never pass into nothingness. The things of beauty, they just protect us from the various harsh realities of life, just like they are just like what, a bower quiet for us, or a shady place for us. They create various shady places for us on this surface of the earth in our life, no, where we are surrounded by various negative elements. Now similarly, things of beauty become joy forever, as they are like blessings to us. They bless us with all positivity. They make our life worth living by providing us sweet dream, good health, quiet breathing. These are all characteristics of a happy, healthy life. Next question is, what do the lines, therefore on every morrow are we reading a flowery band to bind us to the earth, suggest to you? Now we need to explain this. Why does the poet make this this expression? What does he mean by this? So, of course, it is in context with the fact that a thing of beauty is a joy forever, and how positive impact they have in our life. They are constant source of joy and inspiration and hope to all of us. So these can be the important value points. We should never snap a tie with nature. By this expression, the poet wants to convey we should never snap or break a tie with nature, as nature is enriched with such things of beauty. Now, in another way, the poet also wants to say that we derive physical, emotional, and mental sustenance or life from nature. Our life becomes, in all the aspects of our life becomes possible because of the presence of things of beauty in nature. So in this way, nature is a kind of reservoir of things of beauty, and things of beauty inspire us. Whenever we are sad, whenever our heart is covered with the screen of sadness, with the help of things of beauty, just by remembering beautiful moments, beautiful people, or looking at some beautiful scene, we can forget our sorrows, and once again we get motivated and we become hopeful. Now, what makes human beings love life in spite of troubles and suffering? So, the poet, in one hand, gives a list of things of beauty. On the other hand, the poet says that there are various kind of negative elements present in our life. Our life is not always bed of roses. No. So, what makes human life? Why, in spite of this fact that our life is full of troubles and suffering, that still we love life? Why? Because of the presence of things of beauty, and they inspire us. Now, other value points that can be included, of course, the answer must be started from this fact that life is both painful and sweet experience, and but the presence of things of beauty they inspire us to love life, to remain attached with the earth, that is a rich resource of beautiful things. Things of beauty removes the sadness, and this is a one another aspect, one another quality of things of beauty. And then the poet says different objects of nature give us pleasures. They cast magic spells, create lovely scenes. Next question is, why is grandeur associated with the mighty dead? Now, in the last couplet, last couple of lines, second last couplet, the poet, after picking up different examples of things of beauty from nature, the poet then gives us example of some different spiritual and intellectual aspects of beauty. Now the poet says for Keats, beauty is just not having aesthetical value, or beauty is not just aesthetically pleasing, means that it is not necessary that a thing of beauty should look beautiful externally. The it, Anything that is spiritually good, emotionally good, intellectually good, and can inspire us, can make us happy, can give us hope, such things also can be beautiful. Such things, such moments, such places, such people can also be beautiful to us. So that's why the poet says the beauty can be intellectual and spiritual both. So, in this context, the poet discusses the grandeur of the mighty dead. So, death of mighty emperors, our ancestors, warriors, are this is example of intellectual and spiritual beauty. So, the thought, whenever we think about such mighty dead people, this thought only, the just contemplation about such mighty dead people also give us pleasure. And that is the reason grandeur is associated with mighty depth. What image does the poet use to describe the beautiful bounty of the earth? So, when the poet talks about that a thing of beauty is joy forever, the poet gives us various examples of the things of beauty. The poet says that how different objects of nature are examples of things of beauty, and the earth is a reservoir of such things of beauty. No, the poet says, and for to explain this in a better way, the poet uses the image that things of beauty are available to us on this surface of earth like an endless fountain of immortal drink. Now, this rich bounty of nature includes sun, moon, trees old and young, and daffodils, and cooling covert, and clearest. So, several examples of natural objects have been enlisted by the poet in the poem, and the poet provides almost a list of things of beauty to us. So, the poet wants to convey that God has blessed us with this eternal source of pleasure that is available to us, just like an endless fountain of immortal drink. And this endless fountain of immortal drink, or this eternal source of things of beauty on the surface of earth, continuously and constantly give us pleasure and inspire us. Let's move on to the next question. What is the central idea of the poem? Now, we almost, what is the essence of the poem? So, the most important is a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Life, the poet again further wants to convey that life is a sad tale, as it is a mixed bag of happy and unhappy experiences both. And but although most of the time we are down in our life, we face various adverse circumstances, but there are some things of beauty that help us to recover. That things of beauty have almost an embalming impact on our mind and heart, and they help us to forget our sorrows. They help us to just get recover from our failures, and then again we feel highly spirited to restart and make the new attempt. So, things of beauty make us happy, they give us hope, they motivate us. In this way, they remove sadness from our hearts and minds, and they leave an indelible image in our minds. So overall, the poet wants to say that things of beauty are extremely valuable to us, and they are worth being treasured. So these are the few questions that have been chosen, and with this we come to the end of this particular session. Thank you.